Okay, and then I'm gonna set this up. And I think it's gonna be a great road trip snack. Hey, hi everyone. We're here in my little kitchen, the kitchen in my new home. Anyway, today I wanted to make my granola. I love this granola because it's crunchy, it's versatile. You can use it for so many things. You know, put it over ice cream, put it on yogurt, or create little pieces and little bars with the granola, or just have it in big chunks, and whatever you want to do with it. The other thing I love about this granola is that if you don't like a certain kind of nut, put in walnuts. If you don't like walnuts, put in pecans. If you don't like pecans, put in almonds. Whatever you like, I think will make a very good granola. I created this granola, my style of granola. I have it in my first cookbook, but I'm gonna do a little variations of it here. I'm excited about making this because I'm going on a motorcycle ride, and not just a ride, it's a trip. Chris and I, with a few other people, were going on like what, a 4-night, 5-night motorcycle trip out into Eastern Oregon, into Boise area. But also Jeremy and Audrey and family are going on a road trip, so I thought it'd be really neat if I made them some of this granola so that they can take and just kind of munch on. I think Ember will love it, have it in her little cup, and she can eat it, you know, in the car or whatever that may be. So let's get started. What I'm gonna do is I have about 2.5 cups of whole oats. You wanna use whole oats and not instant, because this is, whole oats are in bigger pieces. Instant is kind of all chopped up, so you really want the whole oats. They'll hold up better when you make your granola. I'm using slivered almonds that I will cut up a little bit more, because you don't want too big of a chunks in your granola. At least I don't. And then I'm doing pecans, chopped up pecans. I chose that this time, but I could have used walnuts. That's fine. I love, I'm gonna call them pumpkin seeds, and they kind of are. They're like pumpkin seeds. What is it? Papaya? Some people call it that seed as well. I love flax seed, but be careful because sometimes it will get in your teeth, but I think it's a healthy thing. And I love flax seed. It gives that little crunch here. I've got a little bit of coconut. Let's see, what else? I'll do a little bit of vanilla. I'll do a little bit of salt. I'm gonna chop up some dried almonds. I'm gonna chop up some dried apricots. And then I'm also going to put in some dried cranberries. You could use figs. You could use any other dried fruit. You could use dried apples, dried bananas, whatever you want to do. Dried bananas I don't exactly use all the time because those have a tendency to be a little hard. Jeremy gave me some of these dried fruit that I'm going to put in his. And these are, what are these? These are wolfberries. I have never had these before. I'm going to have to give this a try. But I'm going to use this in his granola. So anyway, let's get started. So we're gonna mix in the 2.5 cups of dried oats. Let's get that in there. Let's bring this over here. Oh my goodness, I've got myself too crowded here. We're gonna combine all of this. What I put it there. We're gonna combine all of that and put it in the oven and get it kind of a little bit of toasty. Because this is not raw. I mean, I could eat these almonds. I always like my nuts kind of roasted. So let me get a knife. Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are enjoying it. And I would really appreciate it if you liked it and subscribed to it. And oh, don't forget to click that little bell up there and you'll be notified of future videos that are new and coming on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much for that. And I would really appreciate it if you shared the video and let other people know and encourage them to subscribe and like the videos as well. So anyway, thank you, and back to the video. We're gonna chop up these almonds a little bit more. So I'm gonna, I mean, they're okay like this, but I just think just do a rough chop. I think they're a little big. And sometimes if you want to make them into bars, if you just give a little rough chop to them all, I think your granola bars will hold up better. And it really depends on what kind of sweetener that you use. I usually use honey, maybe a little maple syrup, and just a little bit of corn syrup to kind of hold it all together. I think of corn syrup as like the glue. I don't know, this may be enough. I just want to give it a rough chop. I don't want it minced almonds. Here, I'm gonna get that one thing. I love this little scraper thing. You can just pick up so much more of the food. Okay, the almonds go in there. I've got the flax seed, gonna put that in there. Oh, I did 2 flax seeds. I'm gonna do the pumpkin seeds. Sometimes I've used sunflower seeds. I use the non-salted sunflower seeds because I wanna manage the salt. I'm gonna put, you know what? I'm gonna wait to put in the coconut. Once you find that this is starting to brown a little bit, then put in your coconut. I have put in the coconut at the very beginning, and I personally think it cooks much quicker than the oats and the nuts and the other items in here because it's got a lot of sugar on it. Or you could use just fresh coconut with no sugar at all. I just happen to have this in my pantry. So it's just regular shredded coconut. Okay, I'm definitely gonna chop up these pecans a little bit. Pecans. People say that differently depending on where you are. I've said it both ways. Pecans. Midwest, who knows? So I'm gonna give this a rough chop. Like I said, I don't want this minced up, but I definitely don't want this big, huge pecan either. I want it like in really little bite-sized pieces. I think this might be it. Just trying to look for the bigger pieces. I wanted to do it this way instead of taking each pecan by itself. I think that's it. Or you can. They break up very easily with your fingers. But anyway, I'm so excited. It's our annual kind of motorcycle trip that I've been taking with Chris ever since I've known him for the last 4 years. This is our 17th, 18th, 19th. Yeah, this is our fourth motorcycle trip. I can't even believe that, 4 years. So I hope he will like it. I hope the other people that are going with us will like this. And I definitely hope Jeremy and his family will be excited that I made this for their road trip. Sometimes you just don't want to stop and you just want a little munch in the car. Let me see here. I may want to break up this pecans a little bit more. But I'm afraid that if I use the knife and, you know, try and chop them up, some of them will just become too fine. I just want to break up the bigger chunks a little more. So that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know, it's looking good already. I can smell the nuts, especially the pecans. It's gonna be great. Well, I can always break up a little bit more after I toast it and it's cooled down. Then I'm just gonna mix it in. And if you wanna add more, add more. I've added about half a cup of most of this, but only a quarter cup of the flaxseed. I think I added enough. Yeah. So I'll put it on the, I've lined a baking dish with parchment paper. I'm just gonna spread this out. And what you might need to do is after it kind of browns on top, use like a little spatula and just kind of flip it over so the underside gets a little brown. Okay, I've got the oven set at 375, so we'll brown this. I don't know, it can take anywhere from 10 to maybe 20 minutes depending. So after, if it takes about 10 to 20 minutes, I would check it maybe just around 8 minutes, flip it over and do a couple more minutes. So we'll wait, let it brown. I went ahead and mixed in the flaxseed with the oats and everything, but I just read my recipe and I probably should have waited because flaxseed is so tiny that you also want to make sure that they don't brown so much faster than the other ingredient. So I usually kind of wait and put that in with the coconut. So we'll have to hope for the best. But like I said, follow the recipe at Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. So I'm just gonna chop up some apricots here. And again, I just want them in little chunks. So while the oats and the nuts are browning, I'm just gonna chop up my apricots. And you could put in raisins, put in any other dried fruit you want. I think apple would have been good in here too. That's kind of a soft, dry fruit sometimes, especially in the fall time. The other ingredients that I'll mix in with here, besides the vanilla in with maybe honey, is just a hint of cinnamon if you want that, just a hint. I really like to taste the toasted oats and the nuts and not just say, oh, this is cinnamon. I just want a hint of it. I know I could have chopped this all up at once, but I don't know, I just like chopping them individually. I know what kind of size they're gonna be. So as I finish cutting up these and waiting for it to brown a little bit before I turn it around, flip it over so it browns on the other side, I'll just finish cutting up apricots. Okay, I'm gonna show you, it's starting to turn a little bit of brown, but the back end is a little bit more, so I'm gonna turn that around and then just stir it a little bit. Should have got two of them. I'm just gonna stir this a little bit. I don't think it's quite ready to add the coconut in yet. So I'll finish cooking it for another 10 minutes. My granola is continuing to brown, and I think it's ready for me to add in the coconut. So I'm just gonna spread that around. And like I said, granola, you can make it whatever you want. So add a little bit more or less, or maybe not at all. So I'm just gonna flatten this out a little bit. We'll cook it for a little bit more. So what I'm doing now is I just took out the granola. In fact, I'll show it to you. Hang on here. I think it's a nice toasted brown. I think it'll go good. I mean, it looks good. And I will wait till it cools before I put it in the big mixing bowl. But right now I'm going to do like the little sauce that will go over it, that will kind of glue all of this together. So we're going to put in about 3 tablespoons of butter. Heat that up. Let me see. Once the butter heats up, we will add just slightly less. I would say a couple of tablespoons, but maybe I wouldn't do anything more than a quarter cup of brown sugar. I have about a half a cup of honey here. And then I'm just going to do about a tablespoon or so of corn syrup. Okay, my butter is melting. Thank goodness. And then in this, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. Salt kind of takes and enhances the sweetness in a different way. Just like when we put salt on chocolate chip cookies. I mean, I take a bite into that, I'm like, oh my gosh. Or caramel. Fudge even. There we go. I'm gonna put in the honey. The butter's melted. Just really want to keep this at low heat. You don't want to rush anything. Put the honey in here. Stir that around with the butter. Because then I'll have to wait for this to cool too. And I'll put in the brown sugar. It's gonna be so good. Make sure I get all those brown sugar chunks out. So yeah, a nice brown golden color. Don't worry, I'm not making caramel. Just gonna put in just a pinch of salt, not too much. I'm just gonna taste it just a little bit. Oh yeah, I forgot my cinnamon. Oh, I forgot the cinnamon and the vanilla. Good thing I didn't pour this all over everything. Let me go get that real quick. Maybe about a quarter of a teaspoon, maybe a half a teaspoon of vanilla. I think I'm just going to do a quarter. A little splash of vanilla, and a little dash of cinnamon. kind of a couple of shakes there. All right. Oh yeah, smelling good now. I think for the fall, if you want to make granola, you could add like pumpkin spice to this, or a little bit of cinnamon, or allspice and a little bit of nutmeg to it. What's another thing? I'm gonna do a little more salt. Oh, and what could be peppermint? Instead of vanilla? I don't know. No, I wouldn't do peppermint for granola. That doesn't sound good. Okay, I'm just gonna add a couple of, there's about 1, 2, I'm thinking that's enough. Let me have just a little taste again. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, I think that's all melted. And then I am going to see, well, my granola is still hot. Let's take it over here. Here's my big bowl. I got it all in the parchment. I'm just gonna pour it in here. There we go. I got a little bit left in the pan. Just kind of sprinkle that back in. Didn't realize the pan was still so very hot. Okay, I'm gonna let this cool down a little bit because it is still a little bit hot and it's too hard to handle with the fruit and then the sauce that goes in there, the honey, the corn syrup, the little bit of cinnamon and stuff like that. So we're gonna let this cool for a little bit. Okay, so everything has cooled down. The granola, the oats, the nuts and the seeds and the coconut that I toasted have all cooled down. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix in some of this apricots. I think I made too much. I think 1 cup is too much. I'd probably go like a half a cup, unless you like a lot of fruit. And then I am going to pour some of this into this bowl because I'm gonna really make 2 batches. I'm gonna hopefully not have to make another whole thing of granola. I'm gonna put in a little bit more of apricots. I like apricots. Okay, I'm gonna add cranberries to this one. You can add raisins, you can add dried apples, you can add any other dried fruit that you like. Just make sure you cut it up in little bits so it's not in one big chunks and all that. Okay, and then I'm gonna add these wolfberries for Jeremy and Raj. And then all you do is just mix it in there. Let me see here. He gave them to me. I'm not sure if they're the freshest. But we'll see if he likes it. You know, I'm gonna try and get a bigger bowl here. I wonder if I got a bigger bowl. I don't know if I do. I'm gonna get some more parchment paper and put it in the smaller baking dish because you gotta have something that forms that can kind of shape your. I think this will be fine. Okay, I've got my kind of honey and brown sugar. I let it sit here for a little bit. Hopefully it'll still be well. Just stir it up a little bit. I add about 2 tablespoons to this. 2 tablespoons to the other one. I have a little bit more just in case. And then I'm just gonna mix this up. It's gonna be sticky, it's gonna be luscious. You're gonna form it into your little square. Make sure all the pieces kind of get into that sugary mixture, corn syrup, honey, brown sugar mixture. Make sure it's all mixed in good, because you don't want, a lot of dry pieces if it's not. But this is going to be a great road trip in your car. Stop in for a little break on the motorcycle, have a little snack, a little munch. Okay. And then what I usually do is I'll rub a little butter on my hands so that the granola doesn't stick all over my hands. Hopefully you guys can see this a little bit more. I got so much stuff on this counter. Get that out of the way. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna kind of pat this down a little bit. Where's my spatula? Oh, here it is. You can definitely use a spatula too. Okay. And then you just want this to sit for a little bit until it gets hardened, and you can break it up in little chunks, or you can cut it up in little bars, or it might just be a good crumble too. So anyway, there's one. Get this one over here. I'm gonna mix this up. Go. Get all that stuff out of the way. I think I'm going to use the rest of the sauce for this one. Just got a little bit. Just dribble it in there. I got a lot of dryness in it. And then when you're done, after you have formed it into like a little rectangle, a little square, and after it has completely cooled and set, then you can break it up in little chunks, like I said, or just make it a crumble like this. Okay. think I'm going to use my spatula this time. And if it starts sticking to the spatula, just add a little butter to it. And it did. So just add a little butter to it. Break up some of the pieces if you got some of your dried fruit. Okay, there's the other one. Now, if you really want these into like really nice little bars, I would chop up the nuts a little bit more and then just add a little bit more corn syrup so it sets up a little better. But I think these are going to be loose bars for me, which I'm good with. Okay, and then I'm going to set this up. And I think it's going to be a great road trip snack for Chris and I and the few people that are going with us. And hopefully for Jeremy, Audrey, and Ember, and Bodie. Well, Bodie can't have it right now. But Jeremy and Audrey's family. Anyway, enjoy. Like I said, the recipes are at amyRoloffsLittleKitchen.com. So I must have to admit, it is the next day. And I think my granola has set. And so I'm just going to break it up and put it in this little container for Jer and Audrey. I chose not to cut it, so it's just going to be broken up. So I'm just going to put it in there. I'm going to send them along with some cups. That way, you know, if Ember eats it in the car, she'll have her little cup with it. But it's good. It's a little sticky, but that's okay. That means it's moist. It won't dry out. I love it because it's chewy, so I'm just packing it in here. This will be for Jeremy and Audrey when they go on their road trip with their kids. It's easy as that. You just measure out all the ingredients. I don't know, I could eat this stuff all day. It is like so good. Yeah, so good. I love it. Granola, Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. Find the recipe at amyRoloffsLittleKitchen.com. I hope you make some. I hope as the summer starts to come to an end, you'll still get outdoors. You'll take that hike, maybe just go somewhere and have a little picnic with you and your special someone or friends or just your family. So, granola.